everyone today, and really look forward to sharing with you not just some updates around ideas and revenue management, but also just responding to some of the queries and questions that I know that a lot of you have already forwarded to Teresa. So a little bit about myself. As you can hear, I'm South African and grew up in South Africa, went to hotel school. I worked through Southern Sun at the time. So from Elangeni, Maharani, Beverly Hills, all the names that don't really exist anymore, onto the Holiday Inns and Holiday Inn Garden Courts. So very exciting times going through sort of the 90s and World Cup and everything else. And just most probably in my career, without a doubt, it's been the best times that I've had, just because of the very diversity of anything and everything that you get to do in a South African hotel, where you really, it's just hands-on all the time. So, but to respond to your message, I came over to the UK in 1998 and started working in revenue management. Like most of us, reservations to revenue was the order of the day, and worked through a number of independent hotels, some leading hotel chains. And I actually find myself now, 2021, I've been in revenue management for a good 20 years. So have really seen the shift from tactical revenue management to more strategic revenue management with the aid of automation and technology. And I love what I do. Teresa, you asked me sort of, did I ever find myself in this position? It's going to be interesting what Samantha says afterwards, but I still pinch myself every day and can't quite believe where we are. But what I will say is through these dark 18 months, there were so many times when I thought, are we ever going to be able to recover? And I know that many countries still feel the same way. But I can tell you, because I deal with Europe, I deal with a lot of other countries outside of Europe. Yes, there are still areas that have not recovered or on their journey to recovery, but so many other places are really starting to recover. So there is light at the end of the tunnel, and I'm really excited for the future. Thank you.
Wonderful. I mean, 20 years of management experience, we definitely cannot let you leave us. Samantha, would you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Samantha Williams. I'm the sales director at Profit Room. Profit Room is a global company. We specialize in technology for hotels, and we take care of the whole customer journey. So everything from websites that convert through to booking engines with really good experiences, CRM, aftercare. We also have a channel manager in the background that ties it all together as well. We mostly work with leisure hotels and resorts, actually. So our take on the last 18 months, like Warren mentioned, has been really interesting. We've had to kind of go back to data all over again. So you couldn't rely on the year-on-year data or increases and things like that anymore. So being really innovative really helped us. We brought out lots of cool bits of tech which there wasn't a need for before, which I'll come on to a little bit later. So I think the last 18 months at Profit Room specifically, we've seen a lot of innovation because of the way that the market has changed. So more on that later. But from my side, I think the biggest thing that's really heartwarming is hospitality industry. They've really pulled together. Everybody has come together more. Is it an industry I would move away from? Never. It's through me, the passion is there. So yeah.
You really have to have passion to be in this industry, because the glitz and the glamour just doesn't exist, let's be honest.
Oh, that's for sure. And I do agree with you, Samantha. I mean, if there's one thing that COVID did bring us is innovation, especially in hospitality industry. I think we have taken a leap forward in technology, which has been very exciting. So hopefully that trend will last. So today's topic is all about obviously using the full component of functionalities that you have to offer, or any platform really. Historically, my thinking has always been that if I want to excel in a piece of work, I will go and look for the expert in that piece of work, and then, have multiple platforms that supports my revenue optimization journey, where this conversation is very different as opposed to going to look for that multiple platforms. And we're talking a little bit more about how do we use the one-stop shop, or how do we use the functionalities that you all bring to the table to our fullest. Warren, why don't you unpack a little bit for me of what is your opinion about that kind of thinking?
Sure, you're absolutely right. Phrases that come to mind include doing more with less, managing by exception, and I love the one-stop shop feature because it's through not just automation, but the business processes, people, process, and technology that will allow us to be able to really function in an environment where everything converges and everything comes together. So, for example, Ideas is very much about providing revenue management solutions to the hospitality industry via automation in order to optimize revenue and really make hotels more money. It's as simple as that. And the only way that we see you really doing that is a combination of using technology to its fullest, but allowing a revenue manager to really focus on what's important and be able to move forward with not being bogged down to look for all the data, to come to work on a Monday morning and constantly run reports that are already most probably outdated, and then try and make decisions based on all of this paperwork and reports and analysis, where we are getting to and where we're able to really focus on what counts is to be able to have everything already prepared for you so that you can make an informed decision to be able to go forward, whether it be making sure that the pricing is correct or your restrictions are in line or your overbooking levels are there or not. So it really is a different way of working. And I fully appreciate it that there are only about now, I think the last statistic was 18% of all hotels worldwide have an automated revenue management system. So, you know, it's still open game. There's still a lot of hotels, if you take into account the privately owned independent hotels, etc., that have an opportunity to really extract and exploit the whole opportunity around how do we make more money going forward for the year ahead across your different room classes and room types.
As low as 18% of hotels?
18%, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's quite a surprise.
It's not just the Hiltons and the Marriotts and the Accors, you know, that have these solutions. There are far more independent private properties worldwide that will still be able to benefit from automation.
Yes. Okay. Samantha, your opinion on one-stop shop versus loads of experts?
I think we're in a really unique position that actually COVID has probably forced the industry into. Traditionally, I think everybody just had several providers because there wasn't really one-stop shop. If we go back 20 years ago, nothing was really integrated, systems were really bulky, there was a lot of manual mapping and things like that, but technology has evolved and has enabled really good integrations. So if you want the best-in-class website and booking engine, but a separate best-in-class PMS and a separate best-in-class revenue system, then actually the three can combine together. And I think that's really important. There's a lot of PMS companies out there which do, for example, have their own website service or booking engine, but it isn't going to generate the high level of bookings because their focus is the PMS. With Profit Room, our focus is customer conversion. So it's the website, the booking engine, all of the guest interaction points. And we don't have a PMS. So from my perspective is if you can have things in one place and it's bringing you value then and quality, fantastic. But I would also vote for having separate operators as long as the integration is there. You need to have automation, like Warren mentioned, that's really important. These systems need to be seamless. And we work with Ideas quite a lot actually with some mutual clients. So Ideas in the background will do all the strategy, the revenue, push that into the PMS then pushes that through to Profit Room, and it's completely seamless. The guest experience then is really great. So whether it's a digital advert that then goes onto a website that then launches the booking component, where they then receive a newsletter confirmation or even a text message, that's all coming from Profit Room. So the customer journey is really consistent, but you still have an industry leading strategy behind powering those prices to make sure that you're getting the best rates.
so much. Yeah, so when I said one-stop shop, obviously to be very clear, I mean a expert is a PMX expert, but then when it comes to like booking engine versus a channel manager versus a GDS provider, you know, so how do we to flesh that out, and how do we become experts in the field? So both of you were specifically selected for today's talk because of the range of functionalities that you offer within your product that can help me to optimize revenue. So I know you have shared some slides with me just so that you can go back and show us exactly what it is that you offer. So Warren, I think we will kick off with you because that's sort of how the revenue optimization journey works, right? So I'm going to share your slides, and then if you could just talk us through about what it is that Ideas offers that's probably different from all the other providers that there is. So
no problem.
Give me a moment with this. Give me a sec.
Just while that's loading, I think one of the biggest things of having a one-stop shop, as you said, is accountability. Looking at Profit Room as a perspective, if we provide digital marketing, website, booking engine, the direct conversion we're completely accountable for. And I think having less parties when you're considering one journey is good.
And as you say, Samantha, with the integration of the different systems with one another, it's a seamless journey. So it again, you know, it takes away the manual human intervention all the time that's required to make all of this happen.
Completely. I remember the days sitting in a hotel reception and you'd have a booking come in from one channel and you'd have to close out all of the others. Thank goodness it don't work like that anymore.
I think we can all identify with that. Good. So
I'm a little challenged here at the moment.
Don't worry, Teresa. I'll talk through it. It's not a problem.
My hat. So I'm confused myself with hosting. Sorry.
No. Shall I kick off?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, good. So we all know, everyone on this call knows what a property management system is, really the hub of the hotel that's holding your inventory, and a lot more than that from an operational perspective. But where Ideas comes in is really being the automated brains behind making sure that your pricing, your controls, like minimum 2-night stay controls, for example, any automated overbooking levels, and essentially your booking hurdle is optimized. And how we do that is we rely on a number of external data sources. So we will look at, first of all the data that's coming through from your PMS, all your new bookings, your cancellations, unexpected stayovers, early departures, groups, transient, etc. And we take the transactional analytical data into Ideas. Ideas then has a job to do, right? It has to optimize that, and it works on the principle of supply and demand. It looks at historical data, take into account COVID closures. So we'll look at data before. We'll also look at the pace data that's happened most recently. And then of course, we're looking at the business on the books, your special events, and anything else that the user has actually inputted. And those on the call who will have worked with the revenue management system will know that we also always value what a revenue manager will add to the system, because you will know about a delayed flight before the system will pick that up. Ideas then now has all of these data points to be able to optimize and work out what is, the right room at the right rate at the right time across your room classes and room types for the next 365 days. And that's all good and well. It knows what the pricing is, the controls, the overbooking levels, the booking hurdles, and we all know a booking hurdle, anything below that value will close out and anything above it will be open. And of course, with respect to any contracted last room availability, etc., that we need to not be able to dynamically price. But what does it do with it, right? So we send it back to the property management system or to other distribution systems for onward distribution. And that's where Samantha comes in. And I'm going to stop talking because Samantha will then now tell us how she picks up on onward distribution and making sure that we get that out to market. Is that okay, Samantha?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
So when we receive those rates, and one of the great things about ideas actually is you can distinguish different rates for different rate plans. So I know Warren will come on to that later, but we take those rates into our channel manager at Profit Room. That then pushes them out to the direct channel and any other OTAs or wholesalers that you have connected as well. That also pushes through, so we have direct integration with meta search. So for those of you that are not as familiar with meta search, when you type in your property name on, for example, Google, it's the bit that comes up on the right hand side with the pricing. So typically OTAs like booking.com will bid on your brand to get that booker. What we do at Profit Room is to get that booker direct. So again, using that distribution to go through to meta search through your direct channel, of course. So the rate that we receive then publishes onto the website, but also onto the booking engine. So if a customer is looking at a special offer on the website, for example, they're not going to get a surprise with a different price in the booking engine. And that's really important now with, more hotels than ever using dynamic pricing and the rules that Warren was just mentioning. I think if we go back 3 or 4 years ago, it would be quite common that a customer would find one price on the website that perhaps wasn't updated and then a different price in the booking engine, or not even find the right offer in the booking engine because the website hadn't been updated properly. You have peace of mind with Profit Room that you update one price in one place and it uploads everything onto the website and booking engine seamlessly. So again, it's that whole customer journey and making sure that your customer as well isn't affected by the hotel using smart pricing tools. From that then we also have obviously the distribution into the CRM. So with Profit Room, we don't just care about online direct bookings, we care about offline direct bookings as well. And that's where we have a really smart quoting tool that takes those live prices that feed through to Profit Room, which we can then quote and send an email, for example, with a quoted price, or even a text message.
I absolutely love your product. I've been privileged enough to work with it recently. And the CRM component, obviously, where we can sort of remarket to our customers coming to us off our platform, is really unique in your product. And then on top of it is the quoting solution, which I absolutely love. And what Samantha's not making clear is when you quote literally off the website. And it becomes an online booking platform within your email. And it integrates. So it's no longer of this quote for 72 hours, right?
Yeah, exactly. The CRM is definitely the really cool piece of functionality which sets Profit Room aside from all of our competitors. We not only does it enable you to have a easy central reservation process, but also, like you mentioned, you could get some live quotes, live prices. You can have exclusive offers in there. There's a database there as well. So when you are quoting, you can see when the last time the guest stayed, if they have a certain room type that they prefer. You can choose different booking policies. You can give them a special discount for booking direct, for example. There's so much that you can do there, but it's actually the automation after the quote that really makes it special. So most of the time when we speak to hoteliers, we'll ask them, what their follow-up process is for quotes. And most of the time they'll say with events or group bookings, they will always follow up because that business is worth a lot of money. But for 1 night stays, 2 night stays, smaller bookings, it's sometimes not viable to always follow up every single quote. And that's where Profit Room really, comes into full effect. When you send a quote through our system, 1 day later, if the guest doesn't book, they get a reminder. Again, on 3 days later, if they sign up to the marketing, then they're also going to be remarketed with that stay as well, by text and by email. So that's the part which really increases conversion. And last year, 2.8 days after the initial quote was the average of when a guest booked. So that means they're receiving at least 2 automated emails from our system before the average guest books. So again, how many of those guests perhaps wouldn't have booked because you didn't remarket to them and you didn't engage with them after the quote? So it's something that's really powerful.
Absolutely. And if I can take it one step further, I mean, you also provide developing website exactly designed with the intention to convert. right?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that as well.
Exactly. So we have hospitality exclusive modules. It's our own technology. All of our technology is built in-house. We're very lucky at Profit Room that almost a quarter of our entire team of, nearly 300 people are developers. So we really do innovate really quickly. We're bringing out new technology all of the time. We have special modules for a hotel's needs, so for restaurant booking, for spas, for gift vouchers, which we haven't spoken about yet. It's all included in one customer journey. What's more, because it's coming from the same system, you have to update one offer or one price in one place in Profit Room, and that updates the full channel, the website, the booking engine, the CRM, the newsletters, all in one really easy place. It's about having that data in one place as well, because the more data you have from one source, the more you can really understand and segment that data. At Profit Room, we're really about segmentation, understanding the customer booking flows, understanding what converts, and that's what makes our tool more powerful for sure.
Just love it. So one of the things that I come across quite often is that you have RMS solutions like ideas, and then you have RMS solutions where it's purely based on, rate calculations, especially in the online space. But your product obviously uses online as well as offline, and it looks at group availability as well. I mean, down to building into room types, which I actually personally found very challenging to do. Is what is that supplement to the next room type that really would convert fast? Unpack that a little bit for us. I really love that about your product.
Sure. So because we take the transactional data, which is really every data point from the PMS, and we take it regularly throughout the day, we're really able to understand the impact of all of those different data points and external data sources. So if we look at external data sources, we take your rate shopping information from your competitors. We not only understand the pace of their booking patterns in the past, but also for the future. We understand that for all of your competitors on a rate shopping perspective. We also take your reputation data. So we understand in terms of your social index scores, how you are faring against your competitors. And then for big corporate hotels, I'm thinking of TravelClick's Demand 360, we also take that data along with STR. So you can see there's a lot of external data sources out there that we find value in, because it's not just about your history and what's on the books. It's also about what's happening within the market and the demand, right? That's there. So all the demand that's coming in, that's booking and then staying, and then what did they actually end up staying in? Did you upgrade them for free, or did they actually stay in the deluxe room that they were paying for? We have all of that data. So now we're able to really get into the detail of understanding the behavior of the booking patterns. And whilst you have market segments, we will look at all of your market segments, but we really are looking into your rate codes and looking into your behavioral patterns and understanding the look to book to stay, and then working out what is the propensity and the viability of that particular booking staying again in the future, or not, as the case may be, right? So now we understand the behavior, and our forecast algorithms are looking at the viability again of that business materializing or not. We also differentiate, as you said, Teresa, between your transient and group, your domestic, your corporate leisure, your domestic international, etc. So we really now are generating a forecast. And I've always said, and I still maintain, that if your forecast is inaccurate, so too will be your pricing inaccurate. And that just makes sense. If I'm expecting to be 26% more in 17 days' time, I must probably, in terms of 6% occupancy, I'm most probably going to have a higher rate out in the marketplace. But if I can get that forecast occupancy accuracy correct, and I know we all do it, either in a manual or an automated environment, so too then can I make sure that the pricing is optimized. It doesn't mean the pricing is going to be high or low. It's going to be optimal, the right price at the right time. Because if it's too high, I'm not going to get the demand. If it's too low, I'm going to leave money on the table. That's what Ideas is looking at. So now it's pulling, as I said, all your PMS data, so important for us. The property management system is really the hub to which we have to pull all of that inventory, pricing, everything that's sitting in there in terms of the booking patterns. And then we can start optimizing that pricing in terms of using external data sources to come up with what we need to be able to send back along Samantha's lines of onward distribution. But I also want to just point out, you mentioned group displacement. For so many key city center, large properties, either whether you're in a corporate or a leisure environment like resorts, of course, groups are so important to you. Think of airport properties as well, where our group displacement modules will really get into the detail of that group or allocation, right? And understand again, to what extent will group blocks be picked up and how often will they actually materialize? So now we're looking at that for the future to be able to actually come up with the appropriate price and control. And just touching on drilling that down further, and I'm really going to answer your question here, Theresa, about room class and room type. Your room classes, like standard deluxe suite, we know within your deluxe rooms, you'll have various different deluxe rooms potentially. Deluxe car park facing, and then deluxe sea facing at a higher price. And in the old days, and somebody mentioned earlier on, we usually use the offsets. Standard is, 1,000 Rand, and then you have your deluxe at 1,200, and then it goes up in 200 Rand incrementals, etc. Ideas actually doesn't do that. We can do that, but what we really do is, because we're able to actually get to the room type itself, we're able to come up with the most optimal price, which has no correlation between those offsets. So you could end up, for example, having a standard at 1,000 Rand, and then a standard car parking at 1,027 Rand. If that's what it's going to take to grab the booking and make sure that we optimize that demand. So how can a human being realistically do that on a daily basis for the next up to 560 days, multiple times a day, across all of your market segments and your room classes and room types, taking into account what the PMS is sending you regularly throughout the day as well? I mean, it's just not that possible. And that's where an automated revenue management system comes into its own, because it's already focusing on that day in 183 days' time. It understands what it's going to end up as, and it needs to take action now to make sure that either the right pricing is in so that you don't dilute it, or it's constantly changing to get to the point that it believes that you will get to. Thank you.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I really struggle with, and it's probably because I'm quite accustomed to ideas, and your forecasting modules are very granular in the data, where other platforms might not be as granular as yours. But I find it quite challenging when I work with a new property and we need to start forecasting, and everything is very high level. And I'm like, no, to understand, exactly behavior per market segment, per day. Anyway, so you do that very, very well.
I think just on that point, so much has changed. I love what Samantha said early on. COVID has forced us to change the way that we work. And Ideas too has had to change the way and the environment that we expect our clients to, for example, onboard a property. The hand-holding that we offer now is so much more intense as to perhaps what it was before, where you had a group of people and in normal times. Now we're finding so many properties have downsized, and where they haven't lost people, everyone has to do multiple jobs that they didn't do before. So we've automated a lot of the scripting. We've automated the entire onboarding process to be able to allow us to really get the hotel set up very quickly. And for those new properties that have no historical data, we use functionality like cloning other sister properties, or if you don't have any to clone, we'll take some of your demand projections and we'll use those, or we will actually look into our database generically and come up with the market that you're in, the type of property you're in, because there's no hotel too small or too big that Ideas can't work with. And then we'll be able to get you up and running in a minimal amount of time.
And I think that's quite valuable because especially with the circumstances that we have now, I mean, a lot of times I face properties sort of says like, forecasting is not possible because we don't have historical data to work with because 2020 is a write-off. I'm sure you get that quite often as well, but so what do you do in that case where the historical data is a little bit skewed or quite skewed?
It's a good question. I mean, the 18 months or 12 months of COVID, we found that hotels haven't been closed for 18 months in general, but there's definitely been a 6 to 9 month closure. We ignore that data. It doesn't mean anything. And then we'll look at 12-month patterns before that. But what we're finding actually is because we've had to shift all of our algorithm weighting to focus more on the most recent time. So yes, traditionally, we'll look at past historical data. The world's changed. The world's gone mad. We all know that. But the minute a hotel opens for business, and I think we can all resonate with the fact that wherever you are in the world, the minute hotels are opening, you're starting to attract your leisure domestic business. Yes, not groups, more transient. But I mean, we know that just in the South Coast in England, we have never seen occupancies. Samantha, I know you'll agree with me. We were chatting about this earlier on, occupancies or rates ever before. And that's great. And there will be so many other locations and geographics that will experience that. But what we're seeing is the minute that happens, after a couple of days, we've already been able to capture the pickup and the pace from when somebody looked and booked to when they actually stayed. And now we're able to really get into the booking curve profiles by market segment, by room class, by room type, to really understand what's going to happen in the future. And what we've also seen, construction never stopped. Right? So people have gone and done their refurbs. They've all of a sudden created more deluxe rooms and suites. That's where we need to extract revenue from and optimize the product. And that's what automation through ideas will allow you to do. It will focus on the ability to understand if there's going to be demand at the price that you want, make sure you either hold out for that demand. And if not, and you don't want to lose the booking because the system cannot displace it with any higher rated business or any other business, it will take the booking. And that's why, I always say ideas is not about putting up your prices. Believe me, there will be times when we put your prices down, although we will keep rate parity around that. So it's very much around letting automation come in and do the heavy work and the heavy lifting that we've always had to do, and allow you to actually start focusing on sales and marketing activities and promotions, and really getting into the detail about your advanced purchase rates and everything else that the system can help you do.
Exciting times.
Yep.
Samantha, tell me about any successes that you have seen within your whole scope of products that you have. What can the people on the call sort of look forward to?
Absolutely. I mean, well, first of all, I'll pick up on one of Warren's points there. He mentioned about the Southwestern rates. When hospitality reopened in the UK, the Southwest coast, we have a very rich portfolio in the UK, and we had some hoteliers where their ADR, their average daily rates, more than doubled easily based on a year on year. And they do work with seasons as well. So when we talk about the Southwest, we're talking about regions like Cornwall who do have a much higher rate in the summer anyway. So just to acknowledge that, really, we saw some incredibly unbelievable prices in some cases, but the demand was there, like you said. When we look at how we are delivering our project, again, very similar to Warren. So we recognized a real need for education. So sadly, a lot of the people which were put onto furlough or were not in the office anymore were sales and marketing people. And that's where hotels needed us more than ever to advise them, guide them, help them. The first thing that was cut with COVID was marketing budgets. So again, it's how can we share our knowledge of, you don't need to have a big budget to have some effective conversion. Going back to more traditional digital marketing, like SEO, I think SEO was overlooked for a long time because it was a price bidding war on adverts. But when that budget is taken away, if you don't have a good SEO in place, you're falling back to having no protection there. So it was almost going back to basics. We have more than tripled our customer service team. So now every single property that's working with Profit Room, they have a dedicated account manager. They have somebody, a face, basically, that's there to guide them, to tell them what their monthly results are. We're launching products every 2 weeks. We launch something new with our technology. So again, making sure they're using the technology, that they know, what's new is coming out. We don't have any additional fees or anything. So everything that we do develop is there for customers to use. So it's making sure that we have the people in place to deliver that service, because at the moment, what we're noticing, sadly, is that the hotels are really struggling with their staffing, with their resource, with their, not just operationally, but at a higher senior level as well. And that's where we've kind of offered that more support.
It's interesting because you've extended the whole automation piece, not just around your technology, but around your processes and your people support. And we've had to think very hard around how we help hotels do that, whether we're dealing with an individual hotel revenue manager for a 22-bed property, or in a group environment where one person is managing multiple properties. Again, we've used automation, not just with ideas, but around self-paced learning, around being able to communicate with their client relationship manager through Clarizen. And there's a lot of automation that really helps save time to be able to get things done quickly. I agree.
Completely. We launched a whole new knowledge base last year, and almost everything now demands a video. Small 1-minute clips of this is new, watch, 30 seconds on how to make the most of it. And I think now we don't launch new product features without having that support and that guidance, one click on the knowledge base, because otherwise it becomes unmanageable, like you said, Yeah. So yeah, the way that we deliver our product to customers has also changed, but for the better, for sure.
Quickly, before we sort of wrap up, but one thing that I think we need to unpack is the importance of a technology handshake with all these different products. And I mean, sometimes I get frustrated because I have a new product that can offer something really exciting, but the next platform that it needs to talk to, or the platform where it needs to connect with, the integration isn't always that great. I mean, how much effort, how much time do you guys invest in integration? I mean, I know we have 2 big PMS solutions in South Africa also on the call with us. So yeah, tell us about those integrations, those handshakes, or how important that is.
Sure. I mean, the PMS, our PMS colleagues on the call, we're lucky enough to have integration with them. And Ideas, in fairness, has been around for over 30 years. So we have an established 2-way integration with over 100 PMSs. But it doesn't mean to say we have an integration with all, because there are new kids on the block, right? We have 2 very large teams, 2 integration teams, both situated globally, that are constantly working not just with PMS suppliers, but working with all the new entrants into the marketplace, not just in developing integrations, but enhancing those integrations. And because Ideas has a number of different key attributes, for example, those who use Ideas will know about our last room value booking hurdle, where we have properties that, where we have partners that haven't developed that functionality, we're able to really come up with a solution to that, like a min loss restriction. So there isn't anything that we can't do as long as we put the effort and the cost into it. We don't pass on that integration cost to clients. So Ideas, along with our, for example, PMS vendor that wants to get together, we have seen integrations take anything between a couple of months to upwards on a year. But once we have developed that integration, whether it be in a 1-way or 2-way, although I have to say 99% of them, I can think of only one that's still in a 1-way, then that allows a hotel to say, right, I'm going to take my PMS, I'm going to connect it with Ideas, I'm going to be able to then benefit from all these external data sources that Ideas is going to be bringing in, like rate shopping, reputation, travel clicks, demand 360, etc. And then I can rest easy knowing that I have the full complement suite of products doing its thing to be able to optimize my pricing and controls, and then sending it back to the PMS or to different channel managers or distribution channels, so that Samantha and Profit Room can then really do their thing. And Samantha is a great partner of ours in terms of her company. And it's important for us to be able to give, the choice to our clients as to who they want to work with, etc. That's where we're at. So it is a big investment on our side, but certainly it's not just really giving that functionality to hotels to benefit from, but it's also really keeping the industry ahead of all the different fantastic functionality that Samantha spoke about early on to be able to bring that into a property. Samantha, do you see it differently?
No, I don't. I see it as pretty the same. Yeah, pretty the same. We likewise, you're a great partner that we work with as well. We have lots of mutual clients, particularly the larger resorts and hotels that we work with. The only thing that I would add really with integrations at Profit Room, we have just over 300. That's not just for PMS though, we're a channel manager as well. So we integrate with online channels, OTAs, wholesalers, GDS systems. So we do have more integrations to think about, including payment gateways. So obviously if a hotel wants to automate payments through bookings or activate payment plans through the booking engine, then obviously a payment gateway needs to be considered as well. So we probably have a larger variety of integration types, but we're a growing business as well. So Profit Room was established around 14 years ago. We've had significant growth year on year, every single year. The last 2 years probably being the biggest growth point, and we've more than doubled our international integration. So are we open-minded about integrations? Yes, absolutely. For us, we typically work on a 3-month timescale for basic integrations, but of course it depends on the opportunity there. But if there's a hotel that would like to work with us and we don't have an integration in place, we always look at that integration, and like Warren and like I did, we never push that cost back to the client unless it's something really bespoke to them. If nobody else is going to benefit from it, then there might be some sort of cost involved. But if it's a general integration where it's an opportunity for Profit Room to grow as well, for the hotel to get what they need, then of course there's never going to be any cost associated there.
Great.
Your hands full with all the channels that come forward. I'm sure there's a new one popping up.
Luckily, we have a very big team, as a really big team in Poznan HQ, which take care of the integrations and, dedication, the time. There's a lot of things. You'd be surprised actually around how many updates we have to do to those API integrations. Things like compliance, credit card compliance. There's new rules even coming out next month, and updating those integrations to make sure we're passing card details the right way, tokenizations the right way, things like gift vouchers, making sure we're passing those back, or extras. There's a lot to think about that you wouldn't necessarily think about on as an integration level.
I think we're very grateful for you guys out there. As revenue managers, we just want it to work.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think we're coming to the end of our call. Thank you so much for your time. But any parting words, anything that you want to share with our callers or our South African colleagues, the majority of who we are?
I think from me, if you're working in a manual Excel environment and you don't have the benefit of an automated revenue management system, then my advice would be to really try and get yourself into a way where you are able to extract the data easily and accurately. And even within Excel, there are a lot of different ways to be able to use macros to be able to do that from your PMS, so that you can really move from that tactical way of working where you're spending 90% of your time just getting everything together, and really you aren't focusing on, what is the strategy for your property in terms of how does it interact with sales and marketing, with your groups department, because that's really where the focus needs to be. And sometimes it really, in that environment where you are limited in terms of the accuracy of your data, it still would be worthwhile to spend more time on the strategy going forward. And what promotions and discounts, etc., that you're going to be doing to do that. Of course, if you're in an automated environment, then it changes things because that's all already done for you. It's automatically in your inbox. All your analysis is already programmed to run. So that's where you really are now having time to focus on, you know, what are we going to be doing for the future in terms of just our whole marketing plan. And you can see in both scenarios, I'm suggesting that you and your teams, by moving from that, you know, yield management way of working to a more scientific revenue management way of working, with automation or without, will really bear fruits in the future for you. And that 183 days in the future, when you get the price right and the promotion right, etc., it's really how you're going to make more money for your property.
Exactly. I can lead on from that quite nicely. So once you have all of the pricing and the strategy behind it, then it's then about the distribution. So my advice for hotels right now would be to go and look at your own channel, mystery shop your website, have a look at how your booking engine looks. Does it look like a split customer journey from the website to the booking engine? If you find something, especially from the booking engine on the website, how easy is it to book that in the booking engine? Is it a seamless experience? Is there an opportunity for your guests to get lost? A lot of the time we find families can't book online very easily because the technology isn't being utilized you know, enough. To make sure that you're looking after your families. If you have family stays, make sure it's easy for multi-room bookings. Take a look on mobile as well, and really have a look for those pain points through your booking process, because that will really open your eyes. I think if you mystery shop your own property and you really put yourself in the guest position, that's where you will then see the opportunities for growth for the brand.
Fantastic. Samantha, Warren, it was lovely talking to you both. Thank you so much for your time, and for everybody else that's on the call. Really appreciate it. The little document that I couldn't open, I do apologize once again, but if you're both okay with it, I will share it with everybody that was on the call so that they can have a look. Yeah, and I'll also share the recording as always, and they can be found on the website as well. But thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Bye, everyone.
Keep well.
Bye. Take care.
Bye.